Hello everyone, this is Heroes Trivia. Welcome back to the finals of our Season 3 subscriber game tournament as we have match 2 between our two finalists, Trivenicus and Will Be Deed. Now this is the second of the first two siege battles as Will Be Deed took the first win on the attacking side, and now the two players swap as Trivenicus will be leading the attack and kicking things off with the pig bans. So looking at the bans, we start with Pei Yuanshao being banned out, followed by Mu Lu, Yuan Shao, Zhang Jiao, Lu Bu, and Xu Huang. So a lot of familiar faces, Pei Yuanshao being banned out for his Wisdom River ability, Mu Lu being banned out for elephants, and we have a ban on Yuan Shao for morale boosting, Zhang Jiao for Messenger of Heaven, Lu Bu for just being a strong general, and Xu Huang for the same reason. And that leads to a first pick of Wu Tu Gu from Trivenicus. So the unit that comes to mind is going to be Javelin Spear Guard here. As they have turtle formation, they have javelins, they're great advancing into towers, they're good against killing generals with those javelin hits. So definitely a very good choice. Wu Tu Gu is also a very strong general in his own right. And the answer from Will Be Deed will be Ventral once again, as he's going back to his roar, and Ventral seems to be a comfort first pick for Will Be Deed so far in the tournament. Then for bans, on Will Be Deed's side, Cao Ren gets banned. He was left open. But I think on this map in particular, without the walls, Cao Ren's much less useful. And the follow-up ban is Zhang Bao, as Trivenicus had enough of the poison arrows and being forced out of position by those, especially since he's going to be fielding a lot of turtled infantry, judging by the Javelin Spear Guard and Wu Tu Gu pick in the first round. And that leads to Will Be Deed's pick, and he is going to go with Gong Du here. Very strong general, a general used by Trivenicus in the first match. Very solid with his weapons, and we'll see how it's answered as Liu Zhang is picked by Trivenicus. So Liu Zhang has Ceasefire, but aside from that, he also has Dongzhou Bing, so we're going to see spear units that doubles as archers, fire arrows on commanders. So that's how he's going to approach these towers. Turtle up with javelins. If enemy general wants to come by, you can do ceasefire on them. You can move these turtle formations so they shoot their javelin at the generals. And you also have Dongzhou Bing to burn down these towers after the turtle unit grab their aggro. Definitely a very smart approach in this siege attack. And we have the last round of bans, as Cao Cao gets banned out and Dongzhou gets banned out. So interesting last bans here. Worried about ability slamming, or no, not slamming, but spamming, I guess, from Cao Cao giving the Imperious Presence. I don't think it's going to be that relevant because both of the generals already picked don't have any real spammable ability that's super good. So Cao Cao might not be a great pickup here for Will Be Deed. Not something that Trivenicus should really be worried about, but nonetheless, still very powerful pick that Trivenicus knows very well about, given that he runs quite a few comps with him in the previous round. And Dongzhou, another general that Will Be Deed is very familiar with. You have very good damage boost on that, and it's a very good general killer for that aspect. Of course, you still get Flame of the Phoenix, and that's definitely something he needs to watch out for, as it feels like he's going to be fielding a lot of infantries to counter Trivenicus' infantry, as his final pick is going to be He Yi. He Yi's going to provide that passive melee evasion, some excellent unit choices as well. We'll see if he brings any Unbreakable Youxia. Speaking of Unbreakable, an interesting pick that's gone kind of unbanned and unpick here is actually Huang Fusong. We're not going to see any Unbreakable Defender of Empires on a siege defense, but instead we are going to get Xu Chu from Trivenicus. So I think Xu Chu is a great pick for champion. We mentioned in the previous match that I think Sima Ai is the only one who is unbreakable from these champions with really high health. But technically, Xu Chu is also able to become unbreakable as long as he gets to 20% of his health and activate his ability. Not only that, he gets a massive 10-time damage, and he can be quite scary in that last bit of his health. And even with things like Ceasefire that gets 50% damage resistance, you can go up to an enemy general with 27k armor piercing damage and whack them, and you'll still do a decent amount through the 50% damage resistance. So a very interesting pick here. We'll see what units are brought on these generals and see how both players want to approach this fight. So no surprises from Trivenicus' side, as we predicted from the draft. The pick bans, we have 6 units of Javelin Spear Guards on Wu Tu Gu and 6 units of Dongzhuobing. There are 2 Northern Lancers added on Xuchuo. Not really relevant for this fight. Essentially, we're going to have turtle formation infantry moving up. We're going to have fire arrows coming back, and they're also going to be able to protect the generals with different formations, hoping to knock down enemy generals. Ceasefire is actually a really good defensive tool in case the enemy general wants to charge into your formation. You basically freeze them in place and maybe move around the javelins for some free hits. The javelins hurt quite a lot. Even with 50% damage resistance, it should do quite a number. Then for Will Be Deed's side, he has opted for a mass infantry option as well, so He Yi's pick kind of confirmed that. It's just interesting that he's going with a lot of polearm units, because I don't think they're the best solution against what's expected. In this case, we have the turtled up Javelin Spear Guard. The response of the store defenders I think makes sense, given that you're going to be running up into hybrid units with javelin and fire arrows, so having a big shield with high range block chance is definitely a good choice. Those People's Warband is also a good choice, high damage. I was expecting perhaps a bit more melee infantry from the comp, but the quality of the Protector Heaven helps. We have 1 unit of the Watchman of the Peace for a little bit of crossbow damage. Not going to find a lot of targets because of those turtle units. Even against the Dongzhuobing, they're not going to do that well. Both of them have shields. Obviously, crossbow being a little bit better than the regular bow, but 6v1 is not going to really make a big difference. It's all about how Will Be Deed can use his generals to kind of stop this slow advance of these turtle infantry as they progress into the settlement and burn down the settlement on top of that. So let's see how that plays out. And looking at deployment, it seems like we have Will Be Deed ready to fight at the capture point. So all the units are inside. It could also be due to the fact that we have a deployment in the jungle, so unsure which gate he has to defend. Will Be Deed is just clumped here until farther notice, and we're going to see this slow advancement towards these towers. So let's see how this goes. So turtled up and moving, grabbing some aggro. We can speed this part up because it's just going to be some actions against these towers and whatnot. Do we have the aggro of the towers? Not yet. Oh, there we go. They're shooting. Yep, onto the turtle, and we got the fire arrows coming out. They need to get out of the forest in case they burn themselves. No, they're good. So burning the town first, but eventually we're going to get the towers. Right? I think we're giving the defense a little bit too much time to adjust to where the attack's coming from. They should just go up and burn it. Yeah, what's the wait? And then they can move inside and start taking out these towers so they have more room to play around with. Ooh, got some sniping going on, trying to shoot some generals. Just gotta maneuver those around. Alright, we're advancing. Yojan's gonna be really good at keeping the enemy generals at bay, but you can see the units starting to be shifted over. Wutugul took about 3k in hits. I think everyone got damaged a little bit by that bow, but not enough to make a big difference. Now, the settlement's hard to burn in terms of getting settlement damage because it's so scattered. It's not like a Hun settlement where you can spread the fire quite easily. You can't really spend that much time going around and burning all these little huts. That's just not worth it. So that's probably not a super viable strategy here, but we're still going to be getting things on fire. Every little bit of morale counts, but you're not going to see the big, 100% destruction for 20 points. Alright, got a couple shots coming back. Now, it's 60% missile resistance, and they're shooting back. It's also 60% missile resistance, so it's going to be pretty fair. It's just the number is going to favor the Dongzhuobing eventually. Interesting to see the Javelin Spear Guard out of formation, but you can see the fire nearby is causing a small issue. Might be better if they scoot on out of here. That's fine. Not a big issue. They need to burn these towers down and just start pushing up. Will Be Deed is defending this choke here. Has quite a few units piled on. You just need to be a little bit more patient. There's not much this unit can do, but they're doing a decent job of just tanking these arrows. Not going to do too much to them. Turtle moving up. He essentially have to give up all these. This is not savable. And then we're just going to get a good choke point fight. Now the quality of units will matter quite a bit in that choke point fight. And we do have these Protector of Heavens. They're going to be used first. Fervent Defenders, I don't think are that great in this fight. Looking at their damage, 25, 29, 20 attack speed. It's okay. The evasion's getting boosted by He Yi. That's the main thing. I think if they want to ride evasions to a win, they can try, as long as we can tame Xu Chu's Slam and Wu Tugu's Slam. That's the two main things. Yeah, this poke can be ignored. It's really nothing. I'm not sure what those two cavalry can do in this fight. Need to get this tower burned down as well, but just a slow advance right now. I mean, the two cavalry, you know, they can sneak back in and, you know, try to make a play on the point, but you can see all these units here. There's really not anything super vulnerable to them except for the People's Warband, but they're also surrounded by other spear units, so not much action going on. Got like 9 kills here. There's just not a lot of good target they can hit. These fire, though, definitely causing a bit of issue for the units. You can see that it's getting burned down health-wise, especially since Nama units. I also don't think they need to spend time shooting at the enemy units either. Like, they got 12 kills, they got, what, 9 kills. Pretty even. Just burn down the tower and just keep moving. Not sure what the generals could achieve. Maybe run in here, do a slam. Poor village. Getting burned down here. Yeah, Liu Zhang's just going to posture. If you're going to come, the risk is he's going to ceasefire you outside the range. As long as the generals kind of stay away, some of these turtle units stay away, they can just march on up afterwards and punish you during that minute. Maybe even from range. I'm pretty committed to try to kill this unit. I don't think it's needed. Just let him fire. He has 14 ammo left. Yep, just burn the towers. That's probably all you need to do. Are they gonna try it? Moving one at a time, so you only can ceasefire one. I think there are some javelins hit in the back of our own general. Alright, got ceasefire. Now just move the javelins. Yep, just hit him. Free hits. The generals are going to make things quite messy here. Dismounted. Liu Zhang should actually dismount too. But it is a 3v2. Liu Zhang's on his horse. I'm not sure if he counts as a combat. He's fighting. Ventral has to sit out of this. We're getting a bit of a boost. Liu Zhang should dismount. He can't run. He's at least got the 50% damage evasion going on. We got damage on both. The trunks are going to be good because both of these generals are not unbreakable. Enemy infantry coming in to help, but it seems like He Yi's going to die here. Can he live and bounce back and keep his passive on the units? Ventral try and do whatever he can from a distance. He didn't lose that much health, about 10k to the javelins. Still a decent amount. But Gongdu is gone. Xu Chu is still super healthy. Liu Zhang basically traded 1 for 2 here. Good ceasefire usage. Actually, now about 2 to 2. But you can see Ventral's getting chunked by Xu Chu now. Xu Chu stayed on target for quite a long time despite all these infantry. I'm surprised none of the other infantry coming up to help. It feels like Wu Tugu was probably not going to get out of this. Ooh, they're breaking though. Yeah, the quality of fervent defenders very questionable. Ultugu is going to come out slightly ahead here. And if Xu comes up for one more hit, he's not even going to get a chance to bounce back. He did come back. It might be too little too late. Ultugu is going to run out of here. The Javelin's coming. Yeah, more Javelin troop could have been here. Getting a few kills with the Javelin. And the rest of the infantry is piling in. Yeah, the generals tried to commit, but Liuzhang being there obviously very useful. Now the rest of the infantry is piling in. Stuart shields aren't very good. They will basically fight pretty even here. I guess pound for pound they're slightly better than Javelin Spear Guard in a melee fight. Alright, they're both back on their horses. This is pretty risky. He's got dismounted. He's just going to fight here till death. Got the slam. That's really all he can do. He's going to run, maybe get the cooldown back, do another one. Yeah, trying to snipe him a little bit, whatever damage. Morale from under fire is doing a little bit damage to stay. He might not come back. This is a voluntary dismount. He's trying to do a couple slam abilities. Or is it actually? He also got knocked off his horse. Waiting for cooldown, pulled him to the side. Yi being alive is quite key. This 15% melee evasion is actually huge. Should try to find a way to kill him. We have some flanking cavalry trying to get to these. Yeah, I think one of the spear units died. There's still very good and high quality infantry on Deed's side. Trivenicus needs to use his last general well to beat these. He's not in the fight because he doesn't want to waste health. He's over-chased that one routing unit, which is now putting him in a flank. You just need to get out of that flank to not route. Yep. Trivenicus identified the problem. Yi being alive is a big issue. It's not good for the rest of the troops. But if they're going to pile in here, he could do a slam here. He did not opt for that. It's good discipline holding those troops back because you don't really want to pile in here and get slammed, but now it looks like there's not too much option. He's going to pull out as well after the hit, just wait for cooldowns. A lot of damage being done on these. Not too much you can do. These two Stuart shields are doing well. They're going to win here, and I think they're going to win here as well, but the main fight over here is not going well because Xu was definitely changing the scenario here. Yeah, the Watchman of the Peace ran out of arrows. Fervent Defender bouncing back. They're not going to do much. I think this unit in particular is the issue. They're just not good enough. Alright, they beat the cavalry back here. I'm pretty sure this unit can beat both, especially with their help. They're trying to close the gap on Dong Zhuobing, but Dong Zhuobing's decent enough in melee that even if they close the gap, they're not going to do much. And now they're just getting free shot. He got knocked, finally. Passive stays until he either routes off the field or dies. But I don't think it's going to matter too much. Xu should be able to clean up here. Gonna smash a bit more. Waiting for cooldown again. And there's just not much they can do. Sustain damage on He just to make sure he can't bounce back, even though most of the arrows probably not hitting. Yep, these two are gonna rout. These two are actually gonna win the fight, but I think army loss is gonna get them once these two die. And Xu was just obviously waiting for another usage. Oh, it's been sent over there because I think the fight here is done. But if the fight here is done, I think they're going to get army loss over here. There's still so many units. It's over. Yep, army loss kicking in, and it's over. It came down to Liuzhang's usage. Definitely a very good bait there. Once you get one general in, throw in the fight. Ventral's basically on timeout, and during that time, don't go for him. 3v2, take out both generals at the price of Liu Zhang and most of Utugul's health. So the trade wasn't so bad, but afterwards, Shuchul being the one who is super healthy and combat capable, and Ventral, even with his, or not Ventral, but Utugul, even with his little bit of health, he eventually beat Ventral in that fight. So that kind of swung things. He Yi bouncing back was nice. The infantry idea was okay. I think with the melee evasion, perhaps defending the choke would have been better. Watching the enemy burn down your town feels kind of bad, but I don't think that would have done too much. If you eventually wait for them to come to these choke points, maybe you can get a more favorable ceasefire scenario, because eventually you have to fight through that somehow, and keeping all three generals together might have been the best chance. That's probably the only thing that would have been a little bit different. The javelin usage on generals during ceasefire could potentially be something as well. But overall, if the units got a chance to get an even fight, I think that favored Will Be Deed more, just given the quality of the unit as well as the passive ability from He Yi. But because the general fight swung a little bit towards Trivenicus' side, Trivenicus was able to use Shuchul to basically turn the tide and eventually grind out a win here. And we have our first tie in the final in subscriber game history, and we're going to get a round 3. We'll be going back to the waterfall tiebreak map, and both players will get to blind pick whatever comp they feel most comfortable on and have a showdown to determine the winner of season 3. So until then, bye.